I've never seen so many beautiful Christmas lights, Betty Lou.
Spectacular, super colossal neighborhood Christmas lights and display contest. What?
Is your house on fire, Claw?
No, Bethany, those are Christmas lights.
Hey everybody, welcome to Too Much CGI, the show where we talk about pop culture, geekery, both retro and today. If you were a kid in the 80s or the 90s, you're in our club. My name is Bill, here as always with my buddy Scott. How you doing, dude?
Dude, I am busy as shit. This is the worst time of year for getting stuff done.
Yeah, so we don't have much of a show today, do we? Because I couldn't agree more. Holy shit, was I busy this week.
I'll tell you what, I feel like we're being pulled in every which direction, and I feel like we're getting nothing accomplished.
It's just all holiday stuff, right?
No, I mean, it's a lot of, well, yeah. My daughter's in the Nutcracker Ballet this weekend, so there's like 3 dress rehearsals for that. There's basketball practices because kids' basketball is starting up. There's winter concerts. Everything that can happen is happening this week.
Well, we're going to talk later about Christmas then and now. You know, just thinking about that topic, I'm like, are we going to talk about all those like concerts that I had to do and going around and looking at lights? Because I don't really know what people are doing now. So I don't really have kids at home. I have dogs.
Yeah. I feel like every day is Christmas for a dog.
Wouldn't that be a life?
I'll tell you what.
Wouldn't that be amazing?
There's often, I'm walking out the front door to go to work, and I look at my dog, and I look at my cat. They're just getting snuggly for their mid-morning nap, and I'm like, you ungrateful fuck.
Well, maybe they had a really hard life in the last life.
It's possible.
Yeah. Maybe they're being rewarded.
You can be reincarnated as a dog, a house dog.
I hope I come back as a 3-toed tree sloth. I mean, that looks like a fun thing to be. I'm going to be honest. Just hang out in a tree and eat. Be lazy.
Guys, I'm eating junk and watching rubbish. You better come out and stop me.
If you'd like to check out our website, you can go to toomuchcgi.com. You can also find us on Facebook. And you can find us on... Oh, not anymore. Can't find us on Twitter anymore. We've decided to shut that thing down. I think we gave it a good run. 6 months. No interaction there. Figured out. It takes about 6 months to get the statistical significance to tell us that Twitter is nothing but other podcasters trying to find audience. There's no actual audience there.
Yeah, I think there's a lot of truth to that. So we'll once again come back to you and beg you to tell one other person.
That's right. That's right. Social media is not our way. But man, I was thinking about this on the drive home, you know, with Elon in trouble again, Elon Musk, like nobody wants to use his platform. I'm okay using Twitter and going, this guy's got an idiot opinion or whatever, and I'll just use Twitter. You know what I mean? But I have a feeling that things that he says, I think he just damned that thing, and I don't think it's coming back.
Maybe you can help clear something up for me. I've been seeing stuff about Elon. Is that Cybertruck that he was trying to sell through Tesla, is the Cybertruck available now?
I remember reading that he said it's like our biggest mistake, but I think he did make it.
Yeah. I saw a story that said there's like decals you can get for the side window, the side unbreakable window. Remember that whole press conference he did where he was up on stage and he was like, I'm going to throw this steel ball at this unbreakable window, and it shattered the whole window.
Yeah, that's
you can buy a window decal that looks like a side shattered window for a truck. And I thought that was brilliant.
I saw a video where he was testing out his self-driving Tesla. He's like, we're almost there. The thing almost made a left when it wasn't supposed to. He goes, oops. Like, you know, at least he let it air. I mean, at least he put it on social media. He's like, we're not there yet, but I just wanted to show you what it was. Wow. That scares the hell out of me. I don't know that I could ever be somebody who will let a car drive me around. I don't care if they're all on like mod rails. Like, no, if they were on mod rails, I'd be okay with it. If they're all AI cars, I still don't know that I could be comfortable with it because somewhere something is going to go wrong, and I'm going to be the damn person that it happens.
So with that being your thought about the self-driving car, you're not going to let Elon put a microchip in your brain either?
That's not for my generation. That's not for me. That's for the next kids. I mean, that's just too much.
That's insane.
I was laughing today because I go to work and one of our young guys at work, he's 21. I just put a new picture up, a new headshot, a professional headshot on LinkedIn. And he looked at it and he goes, oh, is that an AI picture? I'm like, why would that be the first thing you thought? That was so odd to me. I said, what? Why? He's like, well, you look so good and sharp, and it just looked clear like it wasn't real. I was like, wow, so that's where they're at, huh? Now, the first thing you thought was that would be the last thing I thought.
Right. Did he mean like AI like photoshopped, or did he mean like really touched up, or did he legit mean like you just had this whole thing put together using a photo of you and telling Midjourney to create something?
More the latter, but there's plenty. I mean, Midjourney's big and popular and becoming famous, but there's plenty of other AI apps. You can get it right on your phone. You upload one picture and it spits out like 50 pictures drawn in different styles of your picture. So it's trained on your picture and then it goes and gives you what it has seen all over the internet. So if you say, give me a superhero version of me from Marvel from 1972, it knows what to do.
Really?
So, yeah.
So how's
Yeah.
that different from like just a filter on a Instagram or something? I guess it's pretty much the same thing, right?
Filter is lay something on top of a picture that exists. This is change the pixels, really move things
Oh,
around.
okay.
I saw something the other day that I was just like, this is going to change everything. You could basically go onto the computer and move a little posable figure, right? Like a stick figure, and then hit go, and your body and your face that you've already uploaded a photograph of does the action that you pose. So you can make little cartoons now with these little stick figures in AI.
Speaking of AI, did you watch Saturday Night Live this past weekend?
No.
Oh, the Please Do Not Destroy guys did a great job. They had like Emma Stone as the guest host, but they like AI'd her face on top of another SNL character's face, and it was just the worst looking AI ever.
Well, remember when we were like so excited about Indiana Jones looking young? And then I told you, I watched the movie. He didn't look young. It looked like terrible special effects.
Yeah.
Yeah, we're still in that part of this whole journey. And I'm mixing CGI and AI at that example. So that was dumb. But it's like going back to the time we saw Luke Skywalker come back in Mandalorian. It seemed so good then.
Yeah.
Now it looks so bad. Like that's how much we've already gotten used to this AI stuff and the CGI stuff.
I did watch that indie movie.
What'd you think of it?
Eh. I mean, I watched it once through. It wasn't terrible. It didn't need to exist for me. I think you're right. It wasn't supposed to end the way it ended. I think
Can we
that
talk?
was.
Let's talk about this because
It's been out. It's streaming.
Yeah.
We can talk about it. Yeah.
spoilers for the new Indiana Jones movie. We will talk about the ending now. I gave him more time this time. I like how usually I'd be like, spoilers. Can you believe Optimus Prime died? You know, like I didn't have time to hit pause, Bill. What the fuck? Anyway, yeah. Indiana Jones. So I liked it. I liked that he went back in time, but we all called it. And they were kind of like, don't think that this is what it's going to be. And then it was.
Yeah.
And that's why I think they changed it. I'm convinced they were going to leave him back there. And that was going to be the perfect ending for Indiana Jones. Because he's not happy where he's at.
No.
He's a grump. Everybody hanging around him is too stupid for him. He needs to be gone. His happy ending is to get to live his dream in the past. And then we'll get to have new movies with the new Indiana Jones character.
Yeah.
That's what everybody was saying. They expected something like that to happen. Disney or the director came back and said, no, you guys, I'm happy to tell you you're wrong. I'm not so sure. I think that might have been pretty spot on because all of a sudden you see this Indiana Jones who's like, I'm going to stay here, get punched across the face, easy CGI move, right? Just like they did with in that Daredevil TV show, not the Daredevil. What was the one, the Hawkeye show? Where
Hawkeye.
yeah, where all of a sudden they had Kingpin get hit by a car that looked like ridiculous CGI because they filmed it and they could easily tweak somebody to make them look like they were hit by a car. I don't know that this fist hitting Indy was put there as CGI, but it's just so easy to do something like that.
Yeah.
So that was my first instinct. And second, the movie ended with just one last scene.
Yeah.
One that's pretty easy to shoot last minute when you need to do a quick ending.
And also one that didn't add anything. So if we're spoiling, let's spoil. Indy gets shot in the chest. They go back in time. He meets Archimedes. He's there talking to him. He's going to die. It would have been perfect if he just would have been left there like he requested and died. He would have then become part of history. He would have been part of an archaeological dig. That's what more could an archaeologist want than that, right? Instead, gets punched in the face, brought back via airplane, I guess, to the present day where he belongs. And Marion's there in his apartment as he comes to. And Marion added, like the whole character added nothing. They got back together. They did the scene from Raiders of the Lost Ark where Tell Me Where It Doesn't Hurt. They start kissing. happy ending, but it didn't need to happen. I think it would have been more meaningful. It would have had a better arc for Indiana Jones to die becoming part of history, in my opinion.
I would have loved that ending.
Yes.
But probably it would have been, we told you. Remember when people were doing that too and saying, hey, this is what they're going to do. This is what we think is going to happen from the trailer. Because that trailer showed us so much. All these damn trailers tell us everything.
Yeah.
It was pretty obvious what they were going to do. And again, yeah, everything you said, I agree with. That reshoot was just like, oh shit, we need an afternoon to fix this ending. I guarantee it. Guarantee it. Because all of what's been going on through Disney, now that the news story we talked about last week, it's a shit show. Everything's on fire. That shit happens at Marvel, happens at Star Wars. Why wouldn't it happen at Indiana Jones, where they just suddenly have to go, hey, let's make a tweak?
And they tweak it with CGI, or they tweak it with sloppy writing. Or, I mean, okay, if you want to make it up as you go along, fine, you could do that for some things. But if that's your entire business model, you can't be proactive in writing good stories if you're so busy trying to rewrite shit stories that are thrown together at the last minute. You can't be so busy putting out fires and also have time to do fire prevention. It just doesn't work that way. There's not enough resources.
But I got to admit, I did like most of it. When the CGI nightmare in the beginning ended, I got back into it because I'd like to see grumpy old Indiana Jones where things aren't going well for him. You know, his son's gone. Like, whoa, that's some heavy shit. Like they were actually getting, to reveal this guy in his old age, and I was intrigued.
Yeah, I actually liked Phoebe Waller-Bridge as an actress in that movie. I thought she did a good job. I just didn't know, was I supposed to root for her character? Was I supposed to feel like fuck her character? Like, I don't know. It wasn't like a hero, and it wasn't like an enemy. It was just like, if you can't be a protagonist or an antagonist, you're just there. And what's your purpose?
And then that's more reason why I think this was originally what everybody predicted. This was going to be a handoff to a younger person who could then take the Indiana Jones and take it forward.
Which I would have been fine with versus what we got.
The other thing that bothered me was like, hey, the formula, we got to add a kid. No, you don't. Yeah. I didn't like the kid.
He was not short round.
He
was not short round.
So it did get a little tropey.
Yeah.
I told you the episode where I was first telling you about seeing this movie, the one thing I did like is even though they did too much CGI.
He said it.
They did try to do it in the look and feel of Spielberg's stunts from the 80s.
Yeah.
So do real stunts.
I don't know what those little like Indian carts are. Like I call them rickshaws, but I know that's not right because rickshaws are pulled by people.
Oh, they're tuk-tuks.
Tuk-tuks? Is that what they're called?
Yep.
Okay. Well, I actually enjoyed the tuk-tuk chase scene with cars and then another tuk-tuk. And then, that was fun. I like that. That reminded me of the old baskets when they were in India in Raiders of the Lost Ark.
But then, we got to come up with snakes. Let's do eels. No.
Let's do eels.
Dumb. So it was like watching that movie was like, wow, that was really cool. And then you had to sit through something really dumb. And then something really cool. And then something really dumb.
But I will say this, better than Kingdom of the Crystal Skull.
Yeah, definitely. That one missed on everything. That tone was off. I don't know. There was something weird about that one. I still can't put my finger on why that was so bad. Story was bad, but it was like on paper, not so bad. It seemed like an Indiana Jones story. Performances were good. They had good actors. Yeah, that one just somehow didn't work. And I still can't figure out what I hate about it.
Yeah.
Besides everything. That's a very confusing movie. That movie is a mind fuck.
Rank the 5 Indiana Jones movies in your order of preference. Number 1 being the best.
All right. Well, I'm going to be controversial right off the bat. Everyone's least favorite, besides Crystal Skull, is my favorite. Temple of Doom is what Indiana Jones was to me. That was adventure. That was everything. Raiders of the Lost Ark, after I saw that, actually, maybe I did see that before. I can't remember. But I remember always thinking Raiders of the Lost Ark is kind of stiff and, it's not fun, like Temple of Doom. And then as I kind of matured, I was like, maybe I prefer Raiders of the Lost Ark. But for that novelty, that just like, how'd I fall in love with Indiana Jones? It was Temple of Doom. And I think I do that with Star Wars too, because my favorite Star Wars is the first one, and nobody's favorite is New Hope. But because it was my first one, my introduction. Yeah.
Yeah, I agree with that. So we have Temple of Doom, Raiders of the Lost Ark. What's your number 3?
Then it's absolutely Last Crusade.
Yes.
This one we're talking about would be 4, and Crystal Skulls would be 5.
Okay. I would go Raiders of the Lost Ark, Last Crusade, then Temple, then this one, Dial of Destiny, then Crystal Skull.
Yeah, so we're only off on Indiana Jones
We
and Last
flip flopped.
Crusade.
Yeah. Your number one's my number 3.
And Last Crusade and Raiders is a better movie.
It just has more meaning for you.
Temple of Doom just has more meaning for me.
Okay, fair enough. And we got really off track there, huh?
Yeah, good luck editing this one. Well, why don't we move into some of the segments we got? Oh, I got what am I watching?
Okay. I have one too.
Nice. Let's talk about this. So even though I haven't had a lot of time this last week, I did find a recommendation on YouTube that I got into, went right down the rabbit hole. All right. So this is a YouTube user named Deluxe Nation 2.0, DLUX Nation 2.0. Guy looks like a guy would just, be having, old Americana tattoos, listening to, AC/DC and drinking Pabst Blue Ribbon. This guy's pretty cool, right? So, but what he's doing is he takes blind items. Do you know what blind items are? Do you remember blind items in newspapers, like celebrity gossip blind items?
No, explain this to me.
Okay. So they would have in, the page 6 or whatever, they would say, this A-list celebrity was just caught hanging out with this D-list model, but A-list celebrity is married to a C-lister.
So this is like newspaper clickbait?
Yeah, it's kind of like an early game.
Okay.
And they would never tell you who it was, but they would tell you the rumor.
Oh, I never seen anything like this.
I always used to hear about Stern. Like Stern would read them once in a while. That's how I knew they existed. I didn't really seek them out. But apparently there's plenty out there because this guy, Deluxe Nation, his name is Jamie Deluxe. Deluxe. I like how he Deluxe. Why can't anybody just spell things normally? Deluxe. Drop the E. So he basically goes through and he reads these blind items and then he scours the internet and kind of pulls pieces and more clues and lays them out there and says, I'm not telling you that this is who the people are that they're talking about because I don't want to get sued is what he ought to say, but
right.
Do you know about Corey Feldman? He was pretty vocal about, his molester and all those things.
Yes.
This guy figured it out. So this guy actually tweeted out, hey, we think it might be this guy. And Corey Feldman writes back, that name sounds familiar.
Really?
And it was like, we found you. So that got this guy a lot of traffic. I've been having so much fun going down. And I'll just read you a couple of the stories he's got here. So he's got, one with a picture of like the drummer of Guns N' Roses, right? Here's one. It says, who raped Janie Lane? So Janie Lane from Warren got raped by a heavy metal singer. A very famous heavy metal singer. And this guy's figuring out who it was. And I don't want to say who it is. I want you to go watch this guy's stuff and give this guy the clicks and give this guy I also don't want to get sued in case YouTube's algorithm somehow can surface our stuff to these famous people. But any rumor that you've heard, whether it might have been around Don Henley maybe being with underage kids and Neil Diamond maybe being with underage kids. Not saying he is. See how scared I am of a lawsuit? You can go see Deluxe, and he can fill in the gaps.
Does he have anything lighthearted, or is it all molestation and rape?
Only molestation and rape. This is a dark, dark website.
You said rape twice.
I like rape.
Okay. But he cracks the code, or he cracked the code at least once, allegedly.
Well, he gives you information for you to draw your own conclusions. If you wanted to know about the guy who played the Chucky who ran around, and all of his inappropriate interactions with young children, go check out Deluxe.
Wait, there was actually an actor that dressed up like Chucky and ran around on set?
Yeah, he's a convicted child molester.
Oh,
I'm just going through this like, they got the guy from Nickelodeon. I remember this guy.
Which guy from Nickelodeon?
I'm afraid to go too deep, but it's all right, so this one's called Grooming for Nickelodeon. It's got that guy, Dan, who was in Head of the Class. Dan, the big fat guy. Like, apparently he's behind the scenes for, like, iCarly and shows like that. He's got some damning stuff on this guy.
Oh, shit.
See, it's juicy. I'd like to pretend I'm above all this, but I love it. Talks about Woody Allen, I see. Different producers who had to go into early retirement. I mean, there's a lot of pedophilia in early Hollywood if this guy's stuff is true. I mean, here's one. You'll never believe this. Elvis Presley
Well, I mean, that sounds believable. I mean, his wife was how young when they met?
Yeah. But I don't think he was the only one. So I was just listening to some of these and I just couldn't wrap my head around. I was like, damn. Some of these I heard and I went, yeah, you know what? When I was young, I kind of remember hearing some of this.
Hmm.
So without going into too much detail, if you paid attention to a lot of rumors when you were a kid, you're going to be surprised that you might have forgotten some of them. And this guy didn't.
Shit. That's some heavy watching you got going on there, man.
Well, this kind of ties in with what I said that one day about, when I was working in the music business a little bit and the celebrities would tell me things like, dude, don't say that to me. Like now I
Oh.
know that I might tell somebody that, when Dickhead McGee was, being yucky in the elevator with me, the guy from Everclear, the singer, I'm going to tell somebody that he was a dickhead. And enough people are going to say you're a dickhead that I've actually heard from other people. Like he's a real dickhead. Don't be a dickhead and people aren't going to talk about you that way.
Yeah, being a dickhead and raping people, I mean, that's different levels.
Truly different levels.
Yeah.
Anyway, sorry if that was too dark for y'all, but it's Hollywood. It's the ugly side of Hollywood. And I take the bad and the good. I love to learn all about Hollywood. And the more that I learn about it, I like to demystify it because it just seemed bigger than life. And now you realize it's some crummy people in a town that really was just connected with a lot of sleazery. I made up a word, sleazery. It's just a sleazy industry and it's fun to find out how fake it all really is because as a kid, I thought that was the dream. Nothing was bigger than getting into Hollywood.
Good old Tinseltown, huh? But what I'm watching is nothing like what you're watching. At all. Like, I don't even know how to segue into this. I mean, the only thing in common is that it's also on YouTube. That's all I can say. I'm watching a guy, the channel is called Technology Connection. And this guy, real bright guy, has to be an engineer or something of some sort. I got pulled into it because of something we're going to be talking about later on in the show. He went through and started talking about the difference between like LED Christmas lights and incandescent Christmas lights. And he just talks about like common everyday machines or technology, really from the light bulb to the refrigerator to the toaster to the microwave. Like he gets like into the minutia of nerdery with some of this stuff. Like I often had a question like, how does the popcorn button on my microwave know when the popcorn's done? Is it really just like a timer button? Or does it like do something different when you hit that popcorn button that it doesn't do if I would just hit like the 30-second button 5 times?
Yeah.
And like he broke it down. There's like good microwaves have like a moisture sensor in there. It senses when there's like the exact precise amount of moisture that would mean that the majority of the butter in the popcorn popped the kernels and you will get the optimum amount of popped versus unpopped popcorn in the bag. And I'm like, are you fucking kidding me? And he does shit like, how much soap do I put in my dishwasher? Why is one dishwasher cost $400 while another dishwasher costs $1,200? And he'll like cut a hole in the side of it and have like a window and you can watch what the inside of your dishwasher looks like and precisely how much soap comes out of the soap dispenser, when the soap comes out of the soap dispenser, how clean can dishes get versus the other dishwasher. Like, it's just insane how in depth he gets with some of this stuff. I watched him for 3 straight days and just was like, no shit. Like this is stuff like I always kind of wanted to know because I kind of get into that like, oh, I want to fix it or I want to get in there and see how it works kind of thing. And this guy just does it for you. So Technology Connection, my hat's off to you, sir.
Scott, welcome to middle age. I was watching lathing videos. I was like, wow, that's how they lathe
making
wood.
stuff? Making stuff videos, I am all for it. Sandblasting videos, I can watch something get sandblasted. There's this level of satisfaction of watching rust just get like ripped away from metal. I don't know what the fuck it is. It's insane.
There's a show I catch every once in a while. I think they look it up, How They Made It or something like that. It's just videos of assembly lines putting together like peeps, little marshmallow peeps. And I'm like, wow, that's fucking fast. And some of the just genius put into making some of these machines. It's pretty
the
impressive.
automation machines. Yeah, the automation of like what we're watching right now as far as AI, that's what this automation was to factory workers back 50, 60, 70, 80 years ago.
That's a great point.
Jobs were lost because of how good engineers were at automating and simplifying and just expediting the processes of the things that we make, eat, use, you name it.
Oh, who was I talking to? Just a quick aside on AI. Somebody was talking to me about it the other day, and they were real afraid, like, we're gonna lose jobs. I'm like, well, then, if you still want to be a secretary that knows AI. Like, you're gonna have to figure out how to get those jobs before the other people do. Yeah, it's gonna be ugly. That's gonna be a pretty messy moment. Because I mean, even outside of AI, look at the technology advancements that we have already with like 3D printing. I watched a video today that was made 12 years ago, maybe less, maybe 10, but many years ago.
Yeah.
And a guy walked in. It was a National Geographic TV show, like one of the shows that they aired on Channel 12 that you and I never watched, but our parents did. And literally, the guy walks in with one of those giant wrenches and he says, "Can you actually make this wrench?" And they scanned it and they 3D printed it by putting it into this big old shoebox of metal dust. And then the laser melted some of the dust inside the shoebox of dust. I know that sounds bizarre.
It's basically like metal resin, but yeah.
Right, yeah. Okay, you do get it. So he goes, "All right, go. There's your wrench." He goes, "Where?" "It's in the sand." So he puts his hand in and pulls out a perfect adjustable wrench. The adjuster, that little round, it made that too.
Yeah.
And if that was 10 years ago, I'm going, where's it now? Like, why don't we all have 3D printers in our house? Because that was really for NASA. If NASA's up in space,
Right.
if an astronaut is up in space and he's like, "Oh shit, I don't have this tool," or the tool broke, he can't fly home and get it. So they need this kind of thing to make those tools. But I thought by now we'd all have 3D printers in our house.
And the 3D printers we have, they can do some impressive things, but it's all just plastic resin and filament and stuff like that. Yeah.
Well, they can do it with metal because this wrench worked.
They can do it with concrete too. I saw a thing where they had like this giant outside 3D printer where they can print concrete huts in like areas of distress or like places where natural disasters hit and people are homeless. They can bring in this 3D printer and it will like 3D print like cement igloo looking things for people to live in when they're homeless because of natural disasters. But I think back to my other point, I feel like every time there is a technological advancement, it does impact the job sector in some way, shape, or form for the worse, in the negative.
Yeah, I sound cold when I do my talks and I tell people, "Hey, yeah, some people are going to lose their jobs," but you're right. You know who else is going to lose their jobs? Construction workers when 3D printers come out. Like, you're right, man. Technology won't stop. You just got to adapt. You just got to roll with it. Don't sit there and, because I do photography. I get photographers yelling at me all the time. "Don't use AI. You're destroying the art." I'm like, it's destroyed. As soon as AI art came out, people are going to do AI art to get the images that they want. They won't have to work
Yeah.
with people anymore. People are a pain in the ass. Now they'll just be able to go press a couple buttons and get a photo that looks as good as something you could take in your camera. I guarantee you, it might take 30 years, it might take 50 years, but it's going to change. And look at history. It always does. When technology comes up that's this revolutionary, it's going to make things different for the working class.
No doubt.
So, yeah, if you want to be a secretary, great. But be a secretary that knows AI because there won't be much room for a secretary who doesn't. Scary times, man.
Well, as this technology comes about and destroys our workforce, Technology Connection will be there on YouTube to show you how.
Yeah. I read something the other day that a lot of people think that AI is going to bring us to a 4-day work week.
As long as I have a livable wage, I'm okay with that.
All right. Do we have anything good to talk about besides all this AI fear and pedophiles in Hollywood?
Ay. I don't know. Any fuck uppies? Any mailbag? Anything worth talking about?
I think I want to talk about Christmas. You warmed my heart from the last episode.
All right. I'm glad there was no fallout in the mailbag about how dare you name this as a shitty Christmas song or you forgot about this Christmas song. And yeah, I'm glad. My wife was kind of upset we didn't talk about Hanson's Christmas, but all they did was I can't say that. They did have some originals, but not worth talking about.
They were talking on Stern this morning about all these bands that took versions of their songs and changed the lyrics to add Christmas lyrics just to try to get some Christmas play that I never heard of. One being like Cheap Trick's "I Want You to Want Me." They got a version out by Cheap Trick
called "I Want You to Want Me."
Yeah, I want you.
No, I know. Cheap Trick's "Want You to Want Me." How did they make it a Christmas song?
They're like, "Merry Christmas, I want you to have Christmas." Like they just kind of screwed up the lyrics like that.
That's terrible. That is what I think the Beach Boys did with Little Saint Nick. It was basically just Little Deuce Coupe. Like I said before, it was just like reskinned, rethemed to be Christmas.
Well, Stern had an example of Mike Love put out Kokomo, a new version of Kokomo that's all about where Santa goes when he wants to take a vacation. And it's Aruba, Jamaica, Santa goes to Kokomo. Like, it's just sad. And these things slipped out. And nobody fucking knew. And I'm sure they made no money on it.
Clearly, none of this worked. Like, I'd never heard of it. I haven't even heard it on these fucking ridiculous radio stations that are playing Christmas carols from Thanksgiving till New Year. Like, if they're not playing it, and they got to be reaching and scratching the bottom of the barrel, they're playing 6 versions of the same song every hour. That may have been the worst part of working retail. Going back to what Sister Michelle said last episode, having to work retail, nothing will take you out of the Christmas spirit more than having to work in a retail position.
You know how to torture terrorists? Make them work retail at Christmas.
A big part of the Christmas season certainly is childhood wonderment and the spirit of the season and the things that we come up with. Nostalgia is really what drives the Christmas spirit for me. I mean, having worked retail, it couldn't snuff out that flame for me, so I'm still a big Christmas fan. But yeah, I was thinking about like Christmas then and now, and it just seems like Christmas was simpler back in the day. And yeah, we were kids, and yeah, we had less responsibilities. But like, just talking about, I picked out 3 main topics here. We can stray from this, but I was just thinking like decorations and lights and just all kinds of things that have changed so dramatically. And I really think commercially, because like we're driven, we're programmed, we're propaganded into making some of these changes, I feel. So starting off here, and I've been seeing this a lot lately just driving around here at nighttime. Outside lighting or exterior illumination, if you will. Back then, like maybe somebody in the neighborhood would put up a couple of strands of like those big bulb C9 lights, those fuckers that get so hot when you touch it, you're getting a 3rd-degree burn. Maybe they put that on a tree or on a bush outside. Maybe there'd be some blow molds, like those big hard plastic light up decorations. There's Santa Clauses, there's Frosty the Snowman, there's candles, there's shit like that. Maybe you'd see that, every couple houses. Nowadays, everything is these goddamn inflatable decorations that, they're always licensed products. You see snow globes that actually blow snow. They're like 9-foot snow globes in the front lawn, and like snow comes shooting out and it falls down. Sometimes it's Star Wars. I drove past a fucking Darth Vader with a Santa Claus hat on, holding a Death Star in his hand. What it had to do with Christmas, I have no idea. But he was standing next to Yoda and a C3PO, and they're all these inflatable, light up characters. And okay, they look great during the night when they're lit up and they're inflated. When you unplug it during the day, it looks like an empty trash bag that somebody dumped all over your front lawn.
You're right. I'm seeing that too. Seeing a lot more lawn stuff than ever before. I remember being a kid. I lived in Warminster and then Warrington, PA in my early years. And there was one house in the area that just did their lights. Like they were the one house. And we drove all the way deep into this rando neighborhood in Warrington to see, what he would make that year, right? Because he had like a Snoopy stand up, that he carved out. He did this. And then the next day we went, I remember getting excited because I saw Beavis and Butthead. I was like, whoa, they went so I was clearly still doing this when I was like 18, going to see these lights. But now they're everywhere. And I think the thrill of having a place to go is not there because it's just like everywhere it's lights. Every house.
Yeah. Everybody thinks they're fucking Clark Griswold. I mean, and like you look at some places, they have full on professional synchronized rock concert type light shows synced up to music. Whether it's like, I've seen it done to like Nightmare Before Christmas stuff. I've seen it done to like Christmas standards like Deck the Halls. I've seen it done to like fucking hard rock songs where they have like the windows singing and shit. You can find these things on YouTube as well, but we have like one house here that like you can drive by and they have like an FM transmitter. You like turn your car station to like AM 83.7 and like you pick up their feed and like the lights dance around to the music. And I'm like, it must have taken this guy fucking months to plan this. And like, he must have an electrical engineering degree to even make this happen.
And there's probably a tip jar right in the front that's empty.
They do some cool stuff though. Like this place, they'll do like Toys for Tots where you can like do donations. So he does it for charity. So that's pretty cool. I'd hate to pay his electric bill. I'll tell you that much.
Yeah, can you imagine? Think about what we're doing here. We're wrapping our house with things that can catch it on fire.
Yeah. And to tie this back to Technology Connection, the guy I'm watching on YouTube, God love him for this because I agree wholeheartedly. The lights you can buy right now, like outside lights, like the mini lights right now you can buy, they're all these LEDs. Like they're not incandescent bulbs like old school light bulbs where like all light bulbs, if you think about it, we're heating up a filament so hot to the point that it glows. That's what any light bulb is. LEDs are basically like tiny little computer chips that are programmed to light up and shine off specific colors. First of all, I am a purist white Christmas light only guy. Like I don't dig multicolored Christmas lights outside. I like the purity of the white lights. Looks like the freshly driven snow. Everything is good. Multi lights, I don't know. I mean, I know some people like them. I've seen them used well. Sometimes they go wrong and it's just too gaudy. But these LED lights are just not the right colors. Usually they're like blue and orange and red and maybe a yellow and a green. But these LED lights look like you're going to the fucking Chinese restaurant and they're telling you what the special of the day is with those chasing lights around the window. Like, that's not a Christmas light to me.
Are you and Jenna like my wife? If she sees a house that has lights out, and it's like February, like she gets crazy. She's like, I hate that. They still have the lights up. And then every time she does that, I go, damn. Like if she only knew that if she weren't here and I did lights, that's how it would be with me too.
They'd be up all the time.
Be up all year. I put them up once and I just don't turn them on until Christmas.
If they were white and red in February, I'd be okay with that. I just figure, they decorated for Valentine's Day. That's a really nice touch. They really went all out.
Yeah, my wife loves it. And I used to love lights until I got old enough to have to do them. And then I was like, I don't see the point of this. I just don't care. I just don't want to do it. Unfortunately, my wife, she's a trooper. I come out one day doing some work and the whole house is already covered in lights. She does it. She does a great job every year.
How about growing up? When your parents, did they do lights outside?
Yeah, they had the hooks built into the house. Like I always remember looking up and seeing the hooks. And then my dad would be like, go string the lights on the hooks. All right. Yeah.
Oh, so it was your job.
Yeah, sometimes I remember.
All right.
But we never did anything big like the bushes, like the framing out the windows, like I see people doing now.
Yeah, we frame out our windows. That's on the inside. Like we have like the inside lights done and it shows outside, but there are inside lights. Right. This year we went pretty light. We just have like a bush wrapped up with some incandescent white bulbs, but we have some Edison lights on the side porch. It looks nice. We just didn't go as overboard this year. Like I said, man, we're too fucking busy. My parents, they'll throw like net lights over top of their bushes. They have animatronic reindeer that go out front. They have the icicle lights that go up to the peak and down the other side. Yeah, I mean, we used to go all out with Christmas lights, but I just feel like right now, like people are using the wrong lights. And here's something else, and this is something going back to Technology Connection. LED lights are great. They're less of a fire hazard because they're not getting to 900 degrees Fahrenheit when they're lit up like these giant C9 bulbs are. Basically, they burn relatively cool. And they draw so much less power. I mean, you're using like a quarter of the power of what you're using for a regular strand of incandescent bulbs, but they just draw less. And so it's economical and safer. So there are pros to these LED lights. Just can we get them looking the right way? And when I say the right way, I know it sounds like there's a wrong way. I truly feel that there is a wrong way. I talk to some people, they like the LED lights. Nothing drives me up a wall more than seeing a strand of LED lights hooked up to a string. Like they're not, if it's an incandescent light hooked up to a strand of LED lights, that is like nails on a chalkboard for me.
I see. I think I've just decided I've got a thing I don't like. I don't like tinsel. Hate tinsel. And when I see those icicle lights that look like tinsel hanging off the gutters, it just looks like leaves, like an unkept gutter. I don't like that.
Well, I'll tell you what, Segway Master, that was a good move into my next area of conversation here. How about the Christmas tree itself? The old Tannenbaum. Then you and the family pack up in the family truckster, go out to the local Christmas tree farm, or maybe just to the local forest with the old hacksaw. Pick the one that might fit through your front door and stand up straight in your living room and hack that son of a bitch down. Now, looking at $400 to $1,200 for an artificial Christmas tree that lives in the basement all the other months of the year.
100% true. I didn't realize how many people have fake trees. I have a fake tree.
We have a fake tree.
Oh, I swear we get a new fake tree every 3 years. I don't know why, but I always look at it, I'm like, I don't think this is the same tree. But I'm allergic to pine and all that shit. Like, I just don't like having it in the house, and it just makes me nuts. So we got the fake tree. And the more I talk to people, they're like, oh, yeah, we got a fake tree too. What?
Yeah. Well, my dad's very allergic to the pine trees, like
Yeah.
real pine trees. When I was a kid, we got artificial, and now in the home we have an artificial tree. And I know you get an artificial tree more frequently than most because your wife's always trying to give me your old one. She goes, well, if I get rid of this one, Bill has to let me buy a new one.
No, Bill doesn't. Bill doesn't have to have any Christmas trees.
Yeah, and like the more expensive they are, the realer they look.
Yeah.
And look, I get it. Nobody wants to have to sweep up, pine needles off their floor for 6 to 8 weeks out of the year. But how much they charge for these pre-lit, frosted looking, maybe snowy, maybe like the trees technology that's out there is just insane.
So you've never done with the kids the whole get into the truck, go out to the Christmas tree yard and cut it down? I used to do that as a kid.
I remember we did it when I was a young kid. I remember we had to like cut the part of the stem off to make it stand in the tree stand right. And like I kept that little disc of wood like in my nightstand. I thought it was the coolest thing for like years and years. But we never did it with the kids. No. Because my dad wasn't always allergic. I guess he like gradually became more and more allergic. But now he just gets like asphyxiated, it seems like his like throat closes off. So it's like, well, if we want to have Grammy and Poppy over for Christmas, we better have a fake one.
Yeah. Oh, you want to hear a story about allergy? So I just did an allergy test today because I only go to the allergist every 6 years when I've had enough of it. And then he says, get on shots. And I go, yeah, nope, not happening. Then I just suffer. So I've had enough of suffering. This was a bad year for me. And I go in and he says, well, let's do the test. And I light up speaking of Christmas trees, I light up like a Christmas tree. So I see that I light up for dogs. I go, no, I got these hypoallergenic dogs. And he looks at me, he goes, that doesn't mean non-allergenic. It just means lighter. He goes, if those were bigger dogs, you'd feel it worse. I'm sitting here going, wait a minute. I thought I had like allergy-free dogs. I thought I had special dogs. He's like, you moron.
Oh, shit. Well, now you know.
Now I know. It only took me 48 years to get there. Yeah, I'm just one of the people that never take stuff like this seriously. I never take care of my allergies. I have this busted up nose. Doctor told me I got a, what do they call that when your nose is fucked up?
Deviated septum.
Yeah. I never did nothing about it. Let it be deviated. Now I'm finally getting to the age where it's like, let me see what life is like without allergies.
Well, at least your wife's not a giant dog nut or anything like that.
No. Got a whole damn house devoted to schnauzers. Speaking of schnauzers, hi, Molly. Sometimes you guys can hear her in the back. I know when we edit, I'm always like, let me try to get out these barks, these little yips. Sometimes I do, sometimes I don't. I always wonder if they're listening in the car and all of a sudden some dog starts barking and I'm so afraid that somebody's going to run off the road because they think they're about to hit a dog. It's because of our podcast.
So that's the Christmas tree itself. How about the decorations that go on the Christmas tree? Back in the day, I remember like even watching like the Peanuts cartoons, like they're stringing together popcorn on like garland and they're making their own homemade stuff. I remember making homemade decorations before. Maybe there'd be like some heirloom decorations that were like grandmom's or mom and dad's or baby's first Christmas and stuff like that. Nowadays, like everything is a fucking Hallmark ornament. It's like $40 to $80 for each ornament. It's insane.
When we were kids, they did have a lot of stores selling Christmas ornaments. I don't know if you remember that. I remember going to malls every year with my mom, buying some shitty little, flat, looks like gold, some plated little piece of aluminum shaped like a bell or something. Yeah. They would carve your name in.
Right. There's customizable stuff. I remember that.
We would collect those, but you're right. Then they started to turn into bigger things. And just like you said about the lawn ornaments, the commercialization of these Hallmark ornaments and Batman and Snoopy and Woody Woodpecker. I mean, you name it. They started to have them on these ornaments. And I fell for all of it. When my son was, doing Christmas with me, we were like, oh, what are we getting this year? Let's get Anakin Skywalker. We'll get a Tom and Jerry. And Amy would say, my wife would say, she's like, this isn't a Christmas tree. She's like, this is a little boy's bedroom.
Yeah. No, that's a good point. There was Hot Wheels, there was Barbie, there was I mean, we have Ronald McDonald in our tree, we have Grimace, we have Oscar the Grouch, but the Oscar the Grouch was like an old film canister with like a green cotton ball and googly eyes glued. Like we still have like homemade decorations that were like licensed characters and like we've just had them since I was a kid, so like it has like more meaning. But yeah, now you can go and see it's like fully themed trees. Like everything has to match, and like all the balls have to match, and like it's insane how they want you to like, or how they market to you to like theme your Christmas tree to be like just one thing.
We do it now. Every time we go somewhere, we'll buy something, just to, say, "Hey, we were in San Diego," or we were,
Oh
we'll
yeah,
buy an ornament from where we were. I like doing that.
we've been doing that too. The last area I have to talk about here is just the gifts. I mean, when I was a kid, I feel like we got like a lot of necessities. And I didn't come from a very wealthy family, but it was like you got some clothing, you got your socks, you got your mandatory underwear box. And I remember we had like one big family gift where it would be like, I remember Santa Claus delivered the Nintendo Entertainment System one year, like on Christmas morning. That was like a really big memory for us. Or, you know, you get your personal CD player, your Walkman, or like I remember you get like one big gift, but everything else was just kind of like, yeah, necessities, things you were gonna get anyway. Stocking stuffers were like toiletries, like toothpaste and chapstick and shit like that. But like nowadays, I feel like every gift is like hundreds of dollars and everything just gets delivered in an Amazon box.
I used to have huge anxiety about getting gifts, shitty gifts. I was so nervous about going to my grandparents' house and opening gifts and getting something I didn't know what it was or something I didn't like and having to pretend I liked it and hurting somebody's feelings. I had
Okay.
such fear of that. To this day, I still hate it. I still hate buying gift shop. Amy's Christmas list is a list she gives me.
Yeah.
And she makes it so easy for me because I have some, yeah, gifts. There's some trauma there. There's some trauma there with gifts. But yeah, I would always get that one big gift and it was it. It was like, "Oh, I got Optimus Prime this year." The rest of it, whatever the
I got
junk
Optimus
was.
Prime for like my fourth birthday. That was one of the big gifts. My grandmother got me Optimus Prime.
Yeah, that was huge for me.
Yeah.
Because I remember even saying to my mom, I had known at that point, "Mom, you did this. You made this work." Because that was the Christmas of like Transformers, Optimus Prime especially, and Cabbage Patch. I remember they were hard to get too.
Yeah.
And somehow my mom got a Cabbage Patch doll for my sister.
Yeah, there were boys getting Cabbage Patch dolls. I never got that. Like, I was too young to care. I think it was like 83 was the year of Cabbage Patch, if I'm not mistaken. But like, yeah, I knew like boys that were older than me that like, oh, I got a Cabbage Patches. I was like, what the fuck do you want that for? Like, I never got it when I was a kid.
They were so popular. So damn popular.
Dude, working at the toy store, I was there for Tickle Me Elmo. I was there for Furby. I was there for all the Pokemon shit. So like, I've seen like the toy of the year fad come and go. But I feel like there was like a long gap between like, the Tickle Me Elmo year and the Cabbage Patch year.
Yeah.
Like I think there's like a lot of years where it wasn't like the go-to one toy.
Yeah, I think you're right. What was the toys? Like just tons of Star Wars, tons of Barbie, tons of stuff.
Yeah, but it wasn't just like the one thing. Like even the Pokemon, like everything Pokemon was famous, but there wasn't like one Pokemon thing that everybody wanted.
I wonder if that was like a logistics thing that they figured out in the retail industry. Hey, you know what? Let's stop selling these big items. Let's just sell tons of little items. We'll make more money in the aggregate.
Wouldn't be surprised.
Because think about that aircraft carrier. Remember the G.I. Joe 9-foot aircraft carrier? We never got that. My brother wanted it. Like, that's a terrible thing to sell because how many people could afford it?
And the people that could, how many people had the room for it? You know what I mean? Like you really did limit your pool of potential customers.
My next door neighbor had it. Little kid Eddie. Called him Eddie Spaghetti. I'd be like, "Mom, what?" Eddie got the aircraft carrier. Well, yeah. His mom got it for him. Mom loves him. Didn't work. Didn't get it. Reverse psychology didn't work on my mom.
Nowadays, like all my kids want are like gift cards for their video games, and like everything's virtual and everything's, online, and they're just so technology driven. Like once you have the system and once you have the controller, everything, even video games. Like I used to get a lot of video games I would ask for Christmas. Now you just get a code, you download it online. Like everything is just downloadable. There's nothing physically tangible to open up on Christmas morning aside from maybe a gift card. It's just not fun.
The stocking things, that I used to like that. Lots of little pieces of junk just to see what you get. Do people still do stockings? Do you do that?
Yeah, we still do that. Yep. So I don't know, man. It just seems simpler back in the day, you know?
It seemed less commercial. And that's saying, from a time where there was J.C. Penney's books with full of toys and there were
Oh,
Toys
those
R
were the
Us.
funnest thing.
Yeah.
Those were the funnest. I loved like the service merchandise catalog,
Yeah.
the Sears catalog.
Toys R Us catalog.
Like you said,
Yeah.
Toys R Us, J.C. Penney. I'll tell you what, we got one sent here from Amazon. It was like a physical book to page through. We got one from Target. We got one from Amazon. Came back. Yeah, it came like months ago, probably like a month and a half ago. And kids loved looking through it and circling shit. And I was like, man, this takes me back to the Sears catalog.
Yeah, for sure. That's cool that they're doing that. I thought they'd be maybe doing it on their touch screens, like circling things on their iPad.
Just adding shit to my shopping cart.
Do your kids know how to hold a pen or pencil?
Yeah, we do homework every night, so they're down with pencils.
So they don't make them type it.
No. They do a lot of stuff on their like every kid at their school gets an iPad, so they do a lot of stuff on their iPad. But like homework, they still have like handwritten out with a pencil. You got mechanical pencil, you're the coolest kid around.
Really?
Yeah.
They'd be so impressed by my Casio calculator watch if I still had that.
I do have one last section here. How about the food? I mean, when I was a kid growing up, Christmas dinner was like the second coming of Thanksgiving. We would usually have like a turkey, maybe a ham, all the fixins. It was like a full on big sit down and eat meal. And as a kid, I hated it because it was like, we can't open presents till everybody eats. And it's like, well, the meal's going to take 2 hours. Like, this is torture to have to wait through the meal. As I got older and now at my house, we kind of switched over to the buffet route. We have like meatballs set aside for meatball subs, maybe baked ziti, like just kind of like appetizers, pick and go food. So like people come in, they bring gifts, kids can open, everybody goes and eats and grabs and eats what they want. It's not like a big formal sit down dinner the way it used to be when I was a kid. So I think that's an improvement.
Yeah, I remember there being food. I remember it more being about going and getting gifts. I guess that's the way my family
Yeah.
did it. And there was always that move of what? Did you hear? What was that noise? Was that reindeer on the? And you're like, you get super excited. My ex-wife said that she had the same kind of experience with her grandparents, but I think like a cousin came down instead of it being Santa, it was like the Hulk. Like he put on a Hulk Halloween mask, and she was like 4. And it terrified her. She's expecting to see Santa, and here comes a green monster.
Oh my God.
Yeah. So she never liked the Hulk. But yeah, and then all of a sudden Santa was here. And I'd always be like, that's really creepy. Just drops these things off and runs. And it was always weird to me.
How do you guys do gifts? Was it always just like a free for all frenzy? Like you get your pile of gifts and everybody just tears into it? Or what did gift time look like for your family?
Pretty much that. Kids just tore
Feeding
into it.
frenzy.
Yeah. Parents were just like, well, remember when this used to be fun? Remember doing what we're doing right now? Remember when we were kids and could enjoy this?
So my family did something quite a bit different, and I never realized it was different till, well, with my wife and my in-laws and the other half of the family. My family everybody would get their pile of gifts, and we would go around and like take turns, like go around a circle, like you open one. Okay, now you open one. Oh, what'd you get? Oh, okay. So it like really drew out the process, and everybody got to see what everybody else got. So that was just always how it was for me. And it does seem calmer.
Oh, that dog and pony show. That's what would give me anxiety. What'd you get? Oh, I got a pair of socks. I'm going to have to pretend somehow I really am happy about getting.
That would be, that is a definition of torture based on your past trauma here. And let me ask you, did the trauma come about because you acted wrong when you got a bad gift one time? What gave you the obligation to feel like you had to act like you liked it? Just being polite?
Yeah.
Or were you given like a talking to?
No, I was never a kid who got direction from parents. Yeah. I mean, I really didn't get much guidance, but I had a lot of fear of disappointing people, making people sad.
So you just picked up on the social cues and you just wanted to be a people pleaser.
Yeah. Yeah. Sensitive kid. And I just didn't want to have any trouble. But at the same time, I wanted all the joy too of having the gift. So it was like this bittersweet, like anxiety, but also like, this is going to be the greatest day ever.
You're walking the edge of a knife there, man. Jesus.
I know, man. My mental health is crazy.
Well, we would wrap up every year. My grandfather, my dad's dad, would always said the same lines. Typical old guy. He would always tell the same stories. He would always say the same lines. And after all the gifts were open, he'd look around and he'd go, boy, I wonder what the poor people are doing. But he said it very tongue in cheek because we kind of were the poor people. And not just for Christmas, at the end of every single holiday, he'd be like, well, another Christmas shot in the ass. But he said the same thing for Thanksgiving and Christmas Eve. He'd be like, well, this time tomorrow, it'll all be over. It's just like, yeah, Pop, I know.
Yeah.
Same thing every year. So like, that's how we wrapped up every holiday. Well, another Christmas shot in the ass. So that's how I'll wrap up this segment.
That's very good. I like that.
Before I wrap it up, I should say, any other areas aside from food, the Christmas tree, exterior illumination, and gifts you'd want to talk about from then till now?
Well, it may not be relevant to everybody, but we on the East Coast, we had snow. So sledding was a big part of it. Sledding and skiing were always like, this is Christmas time and just seems like a Christmas thing. But I know people ski all year long, but us in PA, we only skied in Christmas because that's the only time our mountains got snow. And even half the time those mountains didn't get snow, we had to make fake snow. Because the Poconos, terrible snow up in the Poconos.
But lately, it's been so warm and just so unsteady with climate that like places can't even afford to make fake snow because it's gone the next day. I'm not getting on a climate change kick here, but it don't snow in Pennsylvania no more.
No,
and we really don't have seasons.
Damn, you're right. Really haven't had a good snow in a while.
I would like a white Christmas. I would welcome that.
Had a few in our childhood. We've had a few snowstorms. I don't even know if you remember them because I remember being very, very young, where it was like the snow was up to the top of the door. Like, like we were making tunnels outside for like what felt like weeks.
I feel like we were out of school for a month one time, but it just doesn't happen anymore. And now kids don't even have snow days anymore because, like I said, everything's on those iPads. They just have virtual learning days. They don't have to go to school, but they don't have a day off to just go outside and sled and snowball fight and just fuck around in general in the winter wonderland.
The blizzard of 93 in Warrington, heading to school in Buckingham, it was like 2 weeks we got off. And then finally they were like, you just got to figure out a way to get here. And me and my buddy are driving on these frozen highways. I can't imagine they're going to make us go now, like if that happened here. But back in 93, they just gave up and were like, you got to get here.
Dude, the National Guard came to town to drive nurses and first responders to work, like just so the hospitals and fire departments and police departments could be fully staffed. They sent the fucking National Guard because of snow.
Wow.
Now we got like a slight dusting and they were like, 3-hour delay.
Well, that's why everybody should support global warming. Fuck the snow.
All right, man. Well, then I'll put a nice little bow on that one. What do we got next here?
All right, let's move into the news. All right. I call this first story, Kiss is done and phoning the rest of it in. So Kiss has played what will supposedly be their final show ever on Saturday night at Madison Square Garden. At the show, they introduced the digital avatars that will be replacing them. As the current lineup, Paul Stanley, Gene Simmons, Tommy Thayer, and Eric Singer left the stage for the last time, they were replaced by hologram versions of themselves. Nothing to say, but like, fuck, that's like the lamest thing ever.
Yeah, I've seen this in the story. I see that they're virtually touring now. I don't know, man. I'm not a huge Kiss fan. I know you have people in your relation that are insanely huge Kiss fans. Like, who wants to go see a fake concert? I don't know. I feel like it's going to fucking Showbiz Pizza and watching the Rock-afire Explosion play. You know what I mean? Like, they're animatronics. They're not even real. This is the Country Bear Jamboree at this point.
Yeah. I think the novelty is over, Gene and Paul.
Yeah.
Like, it was fun for a while to be a Kiss fan, and then you kind of grew up, and then they had a reunion, then they had another reunion, and then you're kind of like, all right. I remember when they got back together in college. I was so excited. It kind of brought Kiss back for a little while. Kiss is a fun band. I'm a guitar guy. Playing Kiss riffs is fun. Just, 70s schlock rock, right? I guess that's what we can call it. It's fun, but, time does pass. It's over. And now they're like, well, I still got to make some money because, Gene is all about making money on everything from Kiss coffins to Kiss underwear and toilet paper. Like, it's stupid.
Say that.
It's stupid.
Yeah.
So now they're like, well, we got to keep it alive with Kiss avatars. Like, no, yeah, I think you can punch out now. I think you can be done. I heard this and I just went, oh, that's so douchey.
And then Bill goes to the virtual Kiss concert, and here comes fucking John Stamos trying to sign the back of his ticket stub.
Virtual John.
Oh, man.
Farewell Kiss. I've been reading too, because I still read a lot of the rock news that like Kiss and Motley Crue and all these bands are up there with fake tracks now. You know, they're lip syncing. They're too old.
Yeah.
They're phoning it in. Like Nikki Sixx is supposedly not even playing bass. He's playing Nikki Sixx and Motley Crue is supposedly just playing to a track. I don't know.
Ah, that's lame.
Allegedly. Don't sue me. Don't sue me for the deluxe stuff either. I love that guy. He's taking a bullet for all of us, exposing these pedophiles. Here's one called Morton Downey Jr. will not be coming back to the MCU. See what I did there? Robert Downey Jr. In an interview with Vanity Fair, Marvel Studios president Kevin Feige addressed rumors that Robert Downey Jr.'s Iron Man could return to the Marvel Cinematic Universe. Did we make that a news story? Did we just talk about that?
Yes. We talked about it. Yeah.
Feige stated definitively that Downey's Iron Man, who had an emotional destiny in Avengers Endgame, will not be returning to the MCU. Actually, I'm saying Feige. I think it's Feige. Feige said, we are going to keep that moment and not touch that moment again, which I think is very bright. That was a good moment. I'd hate to see them spoil that. Yeah. Though Feige shut down the Iron Man Returns rumors, the article notes that he did not address rumors about other original Avenger characters potentially returning in MCU phases. So that's good. This is more proof to me that maybe they have hit the brakes. You know, Bob Iger was just in an article saying, yeah, he regrets bringing in Chapek. Like they are doing a full reset now and they're slowing down and hopefully we're going to get back to better stories.
Yeah. That's being driven by them getting hit in the wallet. You know, that's the only thing that's making changes here. Movies aren't making money the way they used to. Streaming is not making the money the way they thought it was going to. The about face is because they realize they fucked up, but they only realize they fucked up not because of the outcry of the fans, but because of low box office and getting hit in the wallet.
Yeah, it's like when you have this amazing show like MASH and you just love it. It ends and then they do After MASH and it just puts this like taint on MASH. They're going to do that if they bring Iron Man back.
Yeah.
It's just going to look desperate.
And, you know, thinking about it, and it's been no secret, I've shared on here many times that, like, not even superhero fatigue, I just gave up on the MCU just because every meaningful, emotionally impactful thing that they did, I feel like they immediately did an about face. Sometimes in the next movie, sometimes in the same movie. Oh, this person died. Oh, it's a sad, tragic thing. It's like, no, they're back. It was just like, I just didn't care. Like there was nothing definitive happened. There was never any consequences or anything that happened except for the bad guys. But they would kill off and have like an emotionally impactful thing with like a hero, and it's just like, oh no, they're back. There's a multiverse, or there's this, or there's that. There was always another fucking answer to have that fan favorite come back in some way, shape, or form.
All right, this next item, I named it something that even amused me. Filoni is full of baloney. Ahsoka showrunner Dave Filoni discussed how Sabine Wren's revelation as a Jedi in the show expands who can have access to the Force in Star Wars. Filoni said the Force comes from all living things, so anyone has the potential to become a Jedi with enough training, regardless of bloodline or innate strength. This suggests Rey's future Jedi Order could include a more diverse range of students from different backgrounds, changing the traditional concept of Force users. As Lucasfilm's chief creative officer, Filoni's comments indicate the films could depict the Force and Jedi training in new ways going forward after Ahsoka's example with Sabine.
Yeah, that's not news. Like Luke didn't know he could use the Force. He didn't know what the Force was until Ben Kenobi showed him. You know, the Force, it flows through us, it connects us, it binds the universe together. He had no idea what the Force was. He couldn't necessarily just use the Force because he was a Skywalker. He did have to be trained by Ben Kenobi and also by Yoda on Dagobah.
But I think it was very implied that only if you had it in your bloodline too could you use it.
I feel like that only became a thing when they fucked up in the prequel trilogy with like midichlorians and shit like that. Like that was like a hereditary, bloodline thing. I always felt that the Force was something that you could be more in tune with the Force if you like trained more, meditated more. I viewed it almost more like a Buddhist monk trying to achieve Zen. You know what I mean? Like that's how I've always viewed the Force to be. It wasn't because you were born into it. It was something that you could hone. I think it's something that everybody can do, whether or not they open themselves up to it and put the work in.
Well, they made a distinction about being force sensitive in Rogue One. Remember? I'm with the force. The force is with me. He wasn't a Jedi. He was force sensitive, the blind guy.
Chirrut Imwe, you're talking about?
So why even have that distinction then? But apparently he can become a full-fledged Jedi. But in that movie, he didn't think he could. He thought he could only be a force sensitive Jedi.
Yeah, I think it comes back to defining what is a Jedi. You know what I mean? Like, is it someone that can fully like move rocks with your mind? Is it someone that can use a lightsaber? Like, what makes a Jedi a Jedi? Like, I feel like it's a title that has been thrown about out there, and people assume they knew what it was. I don't know if we've ever fully gotten a definitive answer. Is a Jedi somebody that follows the religion of the Jedi Order? I don't know.
I didn't like it when all of a sudden Sabine has, we find out she was a force user and she was training with Ahsoka because they never explained how she became a force user because she did. And I was disappointed that they never actually did tell us at the end. And this is the explanation they give us. Oh, it's not really hard to figure out. Anybody could do it, Bill. Oh, all right. I didn't know that. So I don't know. It feels a little weird.
I kind of always thought it was that way. I mean, Sabine trained with Kanan Jarrus when she had the Darksaber in the Rebels cartoon. So, like, she could train, she could do Jedi training. I guess anybody can do Jedi training.
Well, then maybe your answer is, where's the line when you can lift boxes?
Yeah, I guess it's how much, because she was admittedly a very shitty, Hu Yang, the robot, was like, you were the worst Jedi ever. He told that to Sabine. Like, she wasn't, I guess, a full fledged Jedi. Was she a Padawan? Was she she wasn't a Jedi Knight? That's for damn sure. She was a warrior. She was a Mandalorian warrior, but she dabbled. I don't know.
You know how to really encourage a Jedi? Tell them they're the worst one ever.
Yeah, what you're trying to be, you're fucking awful. That really lights a fire.
All right, we got one more news story here that I have named Doug Liman and Jake Gyllenhaal pissed that the Roadhouse remake is going straight to streaming. Bill is pissed that there is a Roadhouse remake. So the article says, director Doug Liman and star Jake Gyllenhaal are reportedly unhappy that the remake of Roadhouse is not going to the movie theaters anymore, Scott. It's going to Amazon Prime. The 1989 original film starred Patrick Swayze as a cooler. What's a cooler? What is that? He was a bouncer, right?
Cool. He was a bouncer, yeah.
A cooler at a rowdy bar. The remake has a budget of over $100 million, making it Amazon's most expensive movie yet. Sources say Lyman and Gyllenhaal expected a wide theatrical release for the high-budget reboot. Going straight to streaming is seen as a downgrade. The decision to stream the film rather than release theatrically was abrupt and unexpected. Lyman and Gyllenhaal were reportedly pissed when they found out. So this is so interesting to me because it used to be when you're a movie star and you have to go on TV, you are a downgraded actor. So with everything that's going on and how we have streaming shows that people are loving more than anything, why would they see this as a downgrade? This may not be a downgrade. This might actually be better for them because they might get better promotion off Amazon Prime, who can promote it throughout their system, than try to promote it to the non-Amazon Prime users and hope that somebody gives a shit about this because they sold the trailer.
Well, they're going to reach more people. Since we've been talking about this, I just kind of always assumed this was a straight to streamer because I don't think people give a shit enough about Roadhouse to go out and watch Jake Gyllenhaal be an MMA fighter.
I don't think they give a shit about Jake Gyllenhaal.
Agreed.
It's the last hit that guy's had.
I don't know, man. Bubble Boy?
I wasn't going to go back that far, but yeah, maybe. Maybe it was Bubble Boy. I don't know. I like that. I like that he was mad. That made me happy. I don't know why. He's like, what? This is going Amazon Prime and not go. But I guess he would be. Yeah, he wants to be a movie star. He wants to be in the big theater.
But there's also like this almost unrealistic idea that this was going to be a big blockbuster anyway, right?
I guess he doesn't think it can now. What's a blockbuster on streaming? But there are blockbusters on streaming. Squid Games was a blockbuster, but it was a show.
Yeah, I was just thinking Squid Games. I was thinking that Queen's Gambit. That was a huge show. I mean, fucking Game of Thrones. Can you get bigger than Game of Thrones? Like, there are blockbusters on streaming. But going back to the strike, they really don't release what their streaming numbers really are, so we really don't know, aside from, like, pop culture response to shows on streaming and how big they are, how many YouTube videos they get after they come out. You really don't know what the true numbers are.
Well, let me challenge this because I'm just thinking this. What movie has come out on streaming only that has been a blockbuster?
I don't know.
Now I can't even think of one. So maybe they're right to be pissed, or like we wanted to get this thing, into the stratosphere and put it to the top of pop culture, but there hasn't been a movie yet that's streamed first that's become a big hit.
Oh, Return to Foggy Mountain.
It's true. It's the greatest movie ever. Biggest hit ever. I heard it won like 20 Emmys.
That's right.
Or Oscars, whatever they win over there at the Foggy Mountain. It is a good movie, but it's not going to be a blockbuster.
No.
Huh.
Yeah, well.
All right. I started out wanting to laugh at Jake Gyllenhaal, and now I kind of sympathize for him. And now I'm mad again because I just remembered he remade Roadhouse, and nobody needs that. So, ending on a grumpy note, as usual, keeping the streak alive.
Hey, on the bright side, nobody's going to see it.
And that makes me happy, too.
So there you go. There's your silver lining.
All right, why don't we kick this pig? Let's get out of here.
Hi, man. Well, thanks for walking down the nostalgia of Christmas, the ghosts of Christmas past there with me. That was fun. Thanks, everybody, for listening. Do me a favor. Tell somebody that has the same sick kind of sense of humor as you. That might help us grow a little bit. Appreciate what's been going on here so far, but let's keep this train moving.
Thank you, everybody.
See you next time.
You want to hurry this up, Clark? I'm freezing my baguettes off.
250 strands of light, 100 individual bulbs per strand for a grand total of 25,000 imported Italian twinkle lights. Hey! 25,000.
Well, I hope nobody I know drives by and sees me standing in the yard staring at the house in my pajamas.
If they know your dad, they won't think anything of it.
Fire it up, Dad!
I dedicate this house to the Griswold family Christmas. Drum roll, please. Drum roll.
Joy to the world.
Beautiful, Clark.
Oh, talk about pissing your money away. Oh, I hope you kids see what a silly waste of resources this was.
You worked really hard, Grandma.